Have you ever really thought about what goes on behind the scenes at a dispensary or in the kitchens and labs where cannabis products are made? It's actually this whole world of incredible precision and, honestly, a ton of science. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain and take a look at the unsung heroes who make sure every single product is safe, clean, and totally compliant. Right at the center of this whole process is a person called a cannabis handler. And look, this isn't just one job title. It's basically anyone who physically touches the product before you do. We're talking about the trimmers handling the flower, the kitchen staff making edibles, the people packaging it all up, and even the bud tender who weighs it out for you. It's a huge umbrella of jobs, all sharing one massive responsibility. So that brings up the big question, right? We hear all this talk about safety and being clean, but what are they actually protecting you and the product from? Well, the risks are probably a lot more serious and a lot weirder than you might think. I mean, you've got the stuff you'd expect, like mold and bacteria, or physical things like pests or a stray hair. But then you get into some really serious territory, like undeclared allergens, nuts, dairy, soy, and edibles. And for the business itself, poor handling can degrade the product, killing its potency and aroma, or it can lead to massive legal fines and even a full-blown product recall. The stakes are just incredibly high for everyone involved. So the very first line of defense, the bedrock of safety in this entire industry, comes down to the rules of clean. These are the non-negotiable personal hygiene rules that every single handler has to live by. And it starts with something that sounds so simple: washing your hands. But here, it's a strict, standardized procedure. We're talking a full 20-second scrub with soap and warm water, just like a surgeon would do. You do it before your shift, after every break, and any time you put on or take off gloves. And no, hand sanitizer is not a substitute. This is where it all begins. Now, here's something you probably wouldn't expect. You know that super cozy fleece jacket you love? Banned. Completely forbidden. Fabrics like fleece, faux fur, anything that sheds a lot, they're a total nightmare in a clean facility because those tiny fibers can contaminate everything. It's all about clean, non-shedding workwear. And it's not just about what you can see, it's also about what you can smell. Perfumes, colognes, scented lotions, all of it is a big no-no. Why? Because the very things that give cannabis its unique aroma and flavor, those delicate terpenes, can be completely ruined. A strong perfume can literally latch onto the product and overpower its natural profile. Putting on and taking off your personal protective equipment, or donning and doffing as it's called, is like a carefully choreographed dance. There's a precise order for putting things on, and a different order for taking them off. You always peel your gloves off, inside out, to trap any contaminants. And what's the final step every single time? You got it. Wash your hands. It's all about preventing cross-contamination. This line from the official training materials, wow, it really just says it all, doesn't it? It hammers home the massive personal responsibility that's on every handler's shoulders. Their actions directly decide how trustworthy that final product really is. All right, so we've covered the handler. Now let's pivot and focus on protecting the product itself. Because, different kinds of cannabis products face totally different kinds of threats, and that calls for some very specialized handling. The challenges are really different depending on what you're working with. For bulk flower, the main enemies are things like mold, pests, and just general human contact. For concentrates, it's a battle against terpene loss and oxidation. But for edibles, the risks are exactly the same as in any professional kitchen: foodborne illness and allergen contamination. And get this, for a modern-day problem, what do you think the #1 source of contamination is in these facilities? It's your phone. Seriously, our phones are covered in germs. That's why personal items are just flat out banned from active handling areas. If you absolutely have to use your phone, you have to take off your gloves, leave the room, and then go through the whole sanitizing process again before you can come back. When you get to edibles, the safety rules get even more intense. These kitchens are held to the exact same food-grade standards as any major food company. That means they use completely separate, dedicated tools for things with nuts, dairy, or gluten. Labeling has to be crystal clear, and staff have to change their gloves the second they handle an allergen. It's a powerful reminder. When you're making edibles, you are running a food safety operation, first and foremost. Okay, so keeping the handlers and the product clean is one thing, but you have to tie it all together with a bigger system. And that system is what we can call the chain of trust, and it's built on a foundation of obsessive documentation and traceability. This is the famous seed-to-sale journey. From the second that raw material shows up at the door, every single thing that happens to it gets logged. Every single package gets a unique batch number that connects it back to its original plant, its processing date, and all of its lab results. It creates this perfect, unbroken chain of custody, which means total accountability. 3 years. Think about that number. That is the minimum amount of time that critical records, like waste disposal logs, have to be kept on file. That just goes to show you the level of long-term accountability that's built right into the system. Nothing gets thrown away. Nothing gets forgotten. It's all documented. So what happens if something actually does go wrong? Well, a product recall doesn't just happen for one reason. It could be triggered by a failed lab test, sure, but it could also be an internal quality check that flags a problem, or even customer complaints. It's a system with a ton of different safety nets built in. And this is where that whole chain of trust really pays off. If a problem is found, that one little batch number is like a magic key. It lets officials trace every single affected product, whether it's in a warehouse or on a retail shelf, and get a recall issued within hours. It is an incredibly powerful system designed to protect public health fast. So after seeing all this, the strict hygiene, the detailed science, the incredible tracking behind it all, it really puts everything into a new perspective. And it leaves me with one final thought for you. Does knowing the sheer level of professionalism and science that goes on behind the counter, does it change how you view that final product sitting on the shelf? It's definitely something to think about.